We're going to start a long series of videos. We're going to go around and eat different foods. We're going to eat tacos from taco trucks, try french fries, pizza. We're just going to, well, talk food, and then we're going to kind of go over each one. So today we're doing milkshakes, and we're going to judge them, so to speak, on 4 basic criteria. So I think the first thing is, how thick is it? Like,
how thick is it?
Yeah. Like you've been drinking, right?
It's thick.
Really thick.
Yeah, you want a milkshake that, it takes a while. I mean, you there you go. No one wants to drink it. Yeah, that's part of the fun. So you want one that's thick. The other thing is you want one that's tastes creamy.
Yeah.
And it's the fat in there that, really brings out a lot of the flavors. Otherwise, it'd just be super, super sweet. So, is it creamy?
Yeah, it's creamy.
Yeah.
Everybody's pretty happy with
Peanut
it.
butter.
What did you have?
I had peanut butter. Peanut?
And we had hot fudge.
Hot fudge. Hot fudge in the sundae.
Yeah.
Okay. And I got a caramel. And then, so how does it taste? What's the flavor like? Does it taste like really, well, yours tastes really peanut buttery?
Yeah, and it doesn't go away. It's just peanut butter.
Just peanut butter on peanut butter on peanut butter?
Yeah.
Mine isn't very chocolatey as yours. It's not a lot of chocolate. It's
Just
just
kind of sort of chocolate.
yeah.
Let's see, the the caramel's there. It's there, but like I'm not wowed. On a scale of 1 to 10, it's probably a 4.
Really?
Maybe a 5. Yeah, I mean, I want caramel to taste like caramel, not kind of hinting at caramel. And then the last thing a milkshake should be is, it should taste like milk. It's just supposed to be ice cream, a little milk, and then whatever flavors get added to it. So does it taste like does it have a milk quality to it? Because there's a lot of shakes where they just taste sweet. You taste sweetness, you taste whatever the flavor is, but it doesn't really taste like dairy.
I don't really taste it. It's like sweet, but not milky.
Yeah. Ours is more balanced out, I think. The flavor and like
The flavor?
how
That's-
sweet it is and
Like a.
I don't know. Wish mine had a little bit more. But anyways, now we've kind of, on a scale of 1 to 10. 5 being just kind of so-so.
5.
It's about a 5. It's not bad, but it's not like
I wouldn't.
super duper awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, the thing with milkshakes, so the milkshakes, like the first time you saw it in print, I believe it was like 1885. And this was before electric mixers. So a milkshake was actually made by hand. And it would probably be more kind of like what we would think of as eggnog. It was thick, but it was still kind of drinkable, and they used to put whiskey in it. Yeah, so it was pretty dang close to eggnog. And then somewhere in the early 1900s, they started taking the alcohol out. So it was more like what you would see in a carton with no alcohol in it, just kind of thick liquid. And then I think it was in 1922, the blender was born. Okay, and that led to sometime during the 30s. That's what they would call a milkshake would look like this in the 1930s. And so these are pretty much seen at like drugstores. Okay, that's where you'd see. That's where you go to get, whatever your sundries, any aspirin or you need it or whatever. And then you can get a milkshake while you're there. And then milkshakes came into their own really during the 50s. That's when you started seeing them in diners. That's when you started seeing them in drive-throughs. That's really where they kind of started to become a part of the American culture. I mean, they were just big time. So now they've had a little history on milkshakes, and we've done one of them, and I'm sure we'll do a lot more. But we're going to talk a little bit about food and food in its, I guess, in its proper context. And by that, what I mean is, that's still pretty decent though. Food is meant to be social. It's not, and it never was meant to be broken down into calories and proteins and carbohydrates and all these things. And we keep breaking food down into its smaller and smaller constituents, and it starts to lose its true value. So when I say that, what I mean is eating wasn't always guaranteed. There was no guarantee that you were going to have food on the table. And so when you did eat, food was meant to be celebrational, and it was also meant to be social. We weren't going through drive-thrus by ourselves. We weren't eating at home by ourselves. Food was really a social gathering. Now, we could have done a couple things today, and we did one. We went out to Jump Creek, but we also chose to stop and get some shakes. And the real value in this wasn't so much that we got a shake. I mean, we could have got fries, we could have gone for another walk. There's plenty of things we could have done. We chose to spend some time together in a social aspect and eating some, shall we say, average shakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're good.
Yeah, I mean, it's not awful. They're just there.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, that's kind of where we're at with this is don't forget to put food in its proper context. And that is, it's meant to be social. It's meant to be celebrational. It's meant to be shared. And that takes it above and beyond descriptions of calories or carbohydrates, things like that. And I guess it just puts it in its right context, and it loses a lot of its fear. So, any parting words of wisdom?
How do you know so much about milkshakes? That's what?
I used to be a chef, and once you learn the basics,
You just know everything about food?
no, you just start looking into, or at least I did. I chose to get into food science, and I chose to get into food history and how foods traveled. The fork is still a relatively recent invention. It wasn't but a couple hundred years ago. All you had were spoons and knives. And how foods travel. We think of Mexican food and we have a certain image of what that means, but in the state of Veracruz, you start seeing things like soy sauce and capers in certain dishes. That's not usually what we associate. And what that is the Portuguese had settled in that area, and in their dealings with China, they had adopted soy sauce, and throughout the Mediterranean, capers were relatively big. And so as that food traveled and they came to the New World, there you go. You have capers and soy sauce in Mexican food. So
Thanks for the history lesson.
and that's it. Anything else? We're all good.